Hey, this is Guy from New Plastic, and in this fourth part of the light series, we'll flood our scene with lights and try to tackle high-key lighting. If you want to further support this channel, you can check out my Patreon, where you can get most of these project files, free products, and most importantly, help me make more and better content. Follow me on Instagram at ojang, subscribe, share, comment, gently tap that like button, get some plants in your house. I suggest you start with some pothos or spider plants. They're the easiest to care for. Let's go. So there are specific definitions of high-key lighting in the photography and cinematography world, like how many stops of exposure the background needs to be from the subject and stuff like that, but in the CG world, that doesn't really apply to us. I think the more important thing is to understand the mood and visual effect you get by using high-key lighting versus low-key lighting. The history of high-key lighting actually stems from shooting for TV. The actors needed to be fully lit even when they move around the scene, and you couldn't keep replacing the light positions and camera positions. So cinematographer Carl Freund decided to have 3 cameras shooting and to flood the scene with lights. That way, no matter which angle the camera is or where the actors are located on set, they would be evenly lit. This technique is still being used to this day in sitcoms for these technical reasons, but artistically, this way of lighting has took a life of its own, representing a polite, unassertive, positive, hopeful, and almost cynically flawless atmosphere. For that reason, it's widely used in not only sitcoms, but many commercials, rom-coms, family-friendly movies, and even more sophisticated movies like Wes Anderson's or Spike Jonze movies. The main approach to this type of lighting is to use large area lights with many fill lights and reflectors to get that soft lighting, low contrast, diffused shadows look, and just generally to not be afraid to use many light sources. For me, that's actually a pretty difficult light setup to control since it's so easy to end up with a flat image. How do you use so many lights and diffuse shadows and still end up with a pretty image? Well, that's what we're going to try and tackle in this tutorial. So we'll start with this outdoor scene here, going for a Fargo style scene with lots of snow, some assets from Quicksilver Bridge. I got the same model I used for my black skin tutorial. I thought since we want to go for a very bright scene, the snow would work well, and we'll have a nice contrast between her dark skin and the white snow. I used the afro hair I have in one of my hair packs, so feel free to check them out. And if you want to learn how to make this black skin, watch the tutorial by clicking somewhere here or wherever these buttons will be in the future of YouTube. So I set up a camera and created this composition. I'm not the best at creating beautiful compositions, but don't overlook this part because that's a huge part of creating a beautiful frame, beyond lighting and texturing. In Octane settings, everything is pretty normal. GI clamp is slightly high to get many light bounces around the scene. In Camera Imager, I just have highlight compression set at 1 because this is going to get super bright, so we need all those highlight details. Let's make the environment ambient color black. And now we can start. Let's add an HDRI light. You can also add it from the Objects tab in the Live Viewer. Click on the Image Texture tab, and from here we can add an HDRI. I use this one from Polyhaven because I like the way the clouds are spread and the fact that the horizon is so far away, which fits our scene. There are also snow HDRIs here, but none of them really worked for this scene. Once we add the HDRI, we can see how it lights up our scene, but how dark our subject still is. Let's rotate the image around till we find a nice fit. And I'll also rotate on the Y so we don't see the ground of the HDRI. I used the snow material from the Frozen pack on my Gumroad, but I changed the color and displacement a bit, and I can actually bring up the displacement subdivision a bit. Yeah, that's better. Okay, let's add a sun object. And let's rotate it. Maybe from this side. You can see how the sun really exposes this side here now, which is really pretty. But from this side, the mountains in the back get nicer lighting. If we rotate it back and bring the sun up a bit, the mountain gets better. So let's bring the sun up even more. And yeah, that's cool. Now she's lit up nicely, and also the mountains in the back look good. This is great, but now we lost the HDRI we used. So what I can do is go to the sun tag, and down here check Mix Sky Textures. Now we can still use the sun, but use the HDRI as the sky. And we can increase the sky turbidity since our sky is pretty cloudy. Cool, let's add a reflector. I'll add a plane, place it against her left side. Let's put a simple white diffused material on it. And if we compare it with and without, you can see how much it helps brightening up the shadows on her. Now let's add an area light on her right side. Call it front light. Let's rotate it down a bit and bring it higher. Let's bring down the temperature a bit and play with the power. I want to keep the light pretty strong. Look how much it brightened her up. Okay, let's duplicate this light and make a rim light. we can make it a disc shape and maybe make it smaller. Let's make it also invisible so we don't see it. And yeah, I like this edge lighting it creates on her hand and hair. I feel like we're diffusing the shadows too much though. We have a lot of reflections coming from the white snow. Maybe there's too much light bouncing. So maybe we don't even need this reflector. We're also losing all the snow detail here because it's so bright. So let's select the front and rim light, set the light pass ID to 2, then add an octane tag to the ground object, and in the object tab, enable use light pass mark and disable number 2. And look at all this detail we got back. And we still have the light from the sun casting shadows on it, so it doesn't look weird. And our area lights feel kind of natural, so it's all mixing together nicely. Now the light is not reflecting back from the snow on the subject though, so we can turn the reflector back on. Maybe pull it back a little to reduce the amount of light reflected, and I think we get nicer shadows like that. Let's compare to the reflector being closer. And yeah, the shadows are definitely too bright when the reflector is closer. And without the reflector, it looks really nice with strong shadows, but we're going for a low contrast image, so having the reflector on but further back is a nice middle point. I feel like we can increase the exposure. Let's explore different light temperatures under rim light. Yeah, it looks better with cooler tones. Feels more natural in this environment. You see how the ground is showing black in the picture viewer even though it's white? This is sort of a bug that happens sometimes where Octane can't preview the material. To fix that, what you need to do is to select the material and double click on the preview sphere here. Then usually Octane will refresh the OpenGL preview and you'll be able to see it again. So yeah, I'll just play with the rim light position and rotation until I get the edge lighting that I like. And this light here looks really nice. I think I'm gonna stop here and I can go to the camera imager settings and play with the gamma and white balance to better control the overall contrast and tone. Again, I usually do that in post after I render, but yeah, that looks like a nice little image we got here. Let's see how we can get this light set up in an indoor environment. So I have the same exact model in this interior room I started building for a different project that I don't think I'm going to use. It's kind of like a Bond villain layer type room. Half of the room is white and half of it is black, but our subject and camera are only getting the brighter side of the room. Let's add an area light. I'll place it here in front of her. Let's bring down the opacity, bring down the power and temperature. Okay, let's duplicate it and place it behind her as a rim light. I'll make it a disc shape, scale it down, place it somewhere here. Let's name the lights and duplicate the key light to make a fill light and just fill the shadows that's right in front of the camera. Let's bring down the temperature to get a warmer tone and make it much weaker. Okay, let's start lighting up the background and we'll come back to these lights later. Let's duplicate this light and put it all the way behind this big boulder. Scale it way up. And I like this aura it creates around the boulder. Let's turn it into an IES light. And let's select something with a wider scatter, maybe this one. Okay, this one is nice. We can increase the strength a bit and just play with it a little bit. Let's name it and duplicate it. And let's make this one really small so we can make some ceiling lights out of it. Let's add a cloner to the scene so that it places it right in the center of the building. Let's make the cloner radial, drag the light in, name it, and let's increase the radius way up so that it fits this lower rim. What I want to do is place each light inside this groove here. It's easier to see if I change the line shading. And if you see these grooves, that's where I want to place the lights. There are 12s of these grooves, so we'll put 12 in the count. And change the start and end angles so that it won't be a full circle because we don't need the whole circle. And just align it right so each one fits in a groove. That looks right. Now let's bring up the radius and bring the whole thing down. And there they are. Let's change the IES distribution. Let's tick off surface brightness. Maybe a different distribution. The light is not spreading out enough for some reason. Seems like it's not perfectly aligned here. Let's adjust the end angle. I'm just kind of aligning them better, playing with the scale and the power, and I changed the IES distribution again, but I'll get back to these later. Let's duplicate this cloner and make more ceiling lights. Let's bring this down, align them with the bottom side, increase the radius, adjust the scale, and that looks okay for now. Let's add a plane to use as a reflector. I'll place it here, reflecting from the right side of the camera. Do I have a white diffuse texture here? No. So let's add one and put it on the plane. Okay, that's cool. Let's up the exposure. Let's name this reflector. We can increase the exposure even more. I want this to feel very bright. And we can probably bring down the power of the key light and rim light. Okay, I want to light up this boulder here, so I'll draw a spline around its front side from the top view. And I'll just adjust the spline so it kind of follows the floor. Let's duplicate one of the ceiling lights. With the Alt key pressed, I'll add a cloner so it adds it as a parent of the light. I'll change the mode to object and add the spline as the object. Now the lights are cloned along the spline, and I'll just scale down the lights and rotate them to face upwards. I can see these spotlights beaming up the boulder, which is a cool look. Let's bring the spline lower and align the lights to slightly tilt towards the boulder. Let's bring down the power way down. And yeah, that looks really nice. Okay, let's compare it to with and without a reflector. I'm looking at all the shadows on her, how her dress looks. Maybe we can move the fill light to the right. Let's disable the fill light and rim light for a second. And yeah, they make a huge difference. These shadows are really dark without them. Let's see how much we can diffuse them with just a reflector. Now let's add the rim light, and yeah, that's important. These hair and hand edges are really nice. I wanted to cover more of her backside, so I'll take off surface brightness and scale it up. Okay, nice. Let's compare this to how it looked before. And it's pretty clear now how strong the fill light was. So let's bring the power to fill light way down. I like it, but maybe it's still too strong. Let's bring it down even more. And I'm looking carefully at her chest and hand and face. Let's bring it back more to the left so it lights the face more. And maybe scale up the key light a little bit. Okay, let's make sure the camera is focused on the subject, and we can try to reduce the depth of field so the background is out of focus. Obviously makes the subject stick out more, but I don't like it. Let's make the f-stop 8. And by the way, our focal length is pretty low at 30. I wanted to capture a lot of the background in the frame. So here I was trying to figure out why the ceiling lights were so noisy, and I tried to play around with the settings and everything when I realized they were flipped facing the wall. And because they had the opacity all the way down, I saw the reflection of the light on the wall and not the light itself. So I flipped the lights in the cloner and turned their opacity up, and now you can see the light, and it was actually able to spread up the ceiling. Then I just increased the radius so they lay as close to the wall as possible. And I played around with the saturation and vignetting in the camera imager just to see how it looks before rendering. Then I wanted to reduce this big shadow here from the side light, so I increased the scale of the light and changed its orientation very slightly, and also changed the IES distribution. And lastly, I realized the ceiling lights that are pointing downwards were also flipped, so I flipped them back and turned their opacity up, which now finally made them actually cast direct light on everything underneath them. And I also changed the IES distribution of the boulder lights to something that has a shorter fall off, so they don't cast so much light on the ceiling and only light the boulder itself. The very last thing I want to touch on is AI lights in the Octane settings. The more light sources in a scene, the more complicated it'll be for Octane to clean up the samples. So we would have to crank up our samples to have a cleaner scene. That's where AI lights comes in. If you enable it, Octane will use AI to figure out how to clean up the scene most efficiently when so many lights are involved, and we end up with a cleaner image faster. It actually makes a difference. If we compare the image with AI lights on to this image with AI lights off, you can really see how much more clean some parts of the image are. The ceiling lights and the floor. Without AI lights, there's much more noise. Sometimes, as you can see on the way the floor is lit, it affects the light just slightly, but not enough to change your setup completely. So yeah, if you're dealing with many light sources in your scene, try to turn on AI lights and let it do its magic. And that's pretty much it. Obviously, every situation calls for a different setup, and there's many ways you can use a high key light setup. But I hope you got a better understanding of the way I think and deal with solving problems when I light up a subject or a scene, what I keep in mind and what I look at whenever I play around with the lights. If it was a personal project, I would have spent much more time on setting up the scene and composition and modeling and also lighting, so don't worry if you feel like you're spending much more time on your scene. Stay tuned for the next episode where we'll go over some more hands-on lighting techniques, sending a dozen roses to my most cherished patrons and members: Yining Gong, Guillaume Lopez, The Great Wanderer Studios, Dave Toro, Celia Lopez, Nob, Marie Robbins, Soyas Chari, Ariaman Munish, Tezi Jing, Kim Doyun, Waikai Zhang, Eric Hu, Alisa, Invader, Daniel Larry, Anthony Gargus, Thomas, Beta Mai, Minky Kim, Zoen, Unica, Howard Murrick, Average CPU, Eustathios Panay, Hader, Aaron Mar Stephenson, Leo, Miskik 2S, Medium, Omer Yilmaz, Peter Rodiger, Zane Eason, Yeon Kim, NG Shin, Elad, 3D Monkey Biz, Chris Schultz, Arlen, Kiki Lem, Suki Violet Su, The 22 Design, Joel Rieger, Adrian Desolate, Studi Image, Matus Jadrzewski, Vasco Gross, Blue Hamill, Mark Cragen, Arkady Ulitsky, Pastor Furioso, Joshua Akoi, Joey Ding, Zemin Wong, Pongsakornim Siri, Ollie M, Webb, Kong Idiot, Derek Schultz, Nicolas Federico Vasquez, Maddie DeGueldre, Yun Jung, Sigurdor Yimmer, Gwilym James Theron, NZ, Light Tan, Christian Wilderman, Confused Bread, Laos, Anthony Bao, MW, IEMN, and everybody else on the list. I love you. Have a great day. Peace.